text sits there, typed but unsent. The one defending yourself, explaining your decision, justifying your boundary, thumb hovering. Something hesitates. Some part of you knows they need your words more than you need to speak them. You've been here before, so many times. The waterfall of explanation, the carefully crafted defense, edited 7 times. Each revision more desperate to be understood, more thorough, more airtight, as if the right combination of words would finally make them see. You sent it. 3 paragraphs of truth, maybe 4. Every angle covered, every misunderstanding preempted, every accusation answered before it could be made. Their response? K, or a thumbs up, or nothing at all. And you sat there, hollowed out, not from the conflict, from the effort, the enormous effort of trying to be understood by someone who was never listening. They weren't listening for understanding. They were listening for proof they could affect you. And you gave it. There's a silence you know intimately. The one that tastes like copper in your mouth, feels like stones in your throat. The silence that isn't chosen, but swallowed. You learned it early. The dinner table where speaking meant correction. The classroom where questions meant humiliation. The room where your truth was too loud, too much, too dangerous. You learned to swallow words whole. Learned that quiet kept you safe. Learned to read the room before you opened your mouth, calculating whether your voice was worth the cost. That silence saved you once. It was smart, necessary. The right move for a person with no power in rooms full of people who had too much. You learned to make yourself small before anyone could make you smaller. Learned to disappear before anyone could erase you. Learned that the safest version of you was the quietest one. And it worked. You survived. You made it through rooms that could have broken you. You're still here. But that silence was survival, not sovereignty. And somewhere along the way, the strategy became identity. The thing that protected you became the thing that defined you. The temporary shelter became a permanent address. You forgot you were hiding. Forgot there was something underneath the quiet. Forgot that the silence was a choice you made when you had no other choices, not who you actually are. You're still being silent in rooms where you're finally safe, still swallowing truth with people who could actually hold it, still protecting others from words that might set you free. The habit of silence has become stronger than the reason for it. The silence that protected the child is suffocating the adult. The quiet that kept you safe is keeping you small. But there's another silence, one you're only beginning to meet. Not the silence of having nothing to say. The silence of having so much to say that words become unnecessary. Not the silence of fear, the silence of fullness. This silence doesn't shrink you. It settles you. It doesn't come from emptiness, but from completion. From being so whole in your own knowing that you don't need anyone else to confirm it. This silence is full of everything they fear. Your completeness without their validation. Your existence without their permission. Your truth without their agreement. The difference is hard to see from the outside. Both look like not speaking, but your body knows. Fear silence tightens. Sovereign silence softens. Fear silence swallows. Sovereign silence releases. Fear silence is holding your breath. Sovereign silence is letting it go. One contracts you, the other expands you. One is the absence of voice. The other is voice so rooted it doesn't need sound. You've watched sovereign silence work, maybe without realizing what you were seeing. The interruption in the meeting. Instead of fighting back, you just stopped, mid-sentence, looked at them, said nothing. The room shifted. Something changed in the air, not your discomfort, theirs. Your unfinished sentence hanging there until everyone felt its weight. No accusation needed, no fight required. Silence held up the mirror, and they had to see themselves in it. Within weeks, others started noticing what you'd been experiencing alone. Not because you pointed it out, because your silence made space for it to be visible. Or maybe it was smaller than that. A comment that used to hook you, and this time you just let it pass. Didn't take the bait, didn't correct the record, just let their words fall into the space between you and dissolve. And something strange happened. The power drained out of the moment. Their provocation, met with nothing, became nothing. You watched them search your face for the reaction they expected and find only stillness. That's the moment you realized they needed your response more than you needed to give it. Your engagement was the fuel. Without it, their fire had nothing to burn. Maybe you've seen it play out closer to home. The family member who needs you to be the problem so they can be the victim. Every gathering, same buttons pushed, same attempts to trigger the old patterns, the bait that used to hook you every single time. And then one day, you just smiled, let it pass, said nothing, and they amped up, got louder, more dramatic, more obvious in their attempts to hook you back into the dance. But something else happened. The rest of the room started seeing it. Not because you pointed it out, because your silence made space for it to be visible. The pattern that had been invisible for years suddenly had nowhere to hide. Not because you exposed it, because you stopped participating in it. The person who needs you to explain, notice what they're really asking for. Not understanding, ammunition. Every defense shows where you're insecure. Every justification reveals what you think needs justifying. Every explanation hands them the manual to your triggers. You've been giving away the map to your own undoing, word by word, trying so hard to be understood that you showed them exactly how to misunderstand you. You know this already. You've lived the loop. You explained, they dismissed. You clarified, they confused. You opened, they aimed. And afterward, you were drained. Not from the conflict, from the performance. When you don't respond, something predictable happens. First message, casual, testing the water. Second, concerned, a hook disguised as care. Third, accusatory, the mask starting to slip. Fourth, explosive, the real feeling underneath. By the fifth, they're telling you everything about themselves they never meant to reveal. Your silence became a vacuum that pulled their truth out. The speed of their spiral shows the depth of their dependency on your response. The violence of their reaction reveals the fragility of their control. The accusations they hurl are confessions of their own fears. When you don't provide the expected response, they have to face what they've been using you to avoid. You used to match their escalation. Their panic triggered your panic. Their urgency became your emergency. You drop everything to respond, to soothe, to manage their feelings about your silence, teaching them that your boundaries were negotiable if they just pushed hard enough. But notice who doesn't spiral, who gives you space, who doesn't need immediate response to feel secure, who can sit with silence without filling it with fear. These people understand something the others don't. That presence doesn't require performance. That connection doesn't require constant confirmation. That love can hold silence without breaking. You can tell the difference in your body. With the ones who spiral, your silence feels like a held breath, tense, waiting for the next message, bracing for impact. But with the ones who can hold space, your silence feels like exhale, like rest, like being with someone who doesn't need you to be anything other than what you are, sitting with someone who trusts your silence, neither of you speaking. 10 minutes pass. It isn't awkward, isn't empty, it's full. Full of understanding that doesn't need words, full of comfort that doesn't need performance, full of the kind of intimacy that only exists beyond language. Compare that to the exhausting conversation where every pause gets murdered by nervous chatter, where silence can't survive for 3 seconds without someone filling it with noise. You leave drained, having said everything and communicated nothing. These are the ones who deserve your words when you choose to give them. These are the ones worth breaking silence for. This isn't about withholding, it's about discernment, knowing which words serve and which deplete, which explanations land with someone capable of receiving, and which just scatter coins on pavement. Some words are coins scattered on pavement, shiny but wasted, picked up by people who will only spend them against you. Silence is a vault, closed, quiet, the kind of wealth that grows in darkness. You remember what it cost you, that conversation where every word got weaponized, where "I need space" became "you're abandoning me," where "I'm hurt" became "you're too sensitive," where "can we talk" became evidence of your neediness. You watched your words transform in their mouth, twisted into shapes you never intended, meanings you never meant. Quoted back to you weeks later, stripped of context, rearranged into evidence of whatever they needed you to be. Words have a half-life in the wrong hands. They linger, get stored, pulled out months later as ammunition you didn't know you were manufacturing. Every vulnerable thing you said filed away for the moment it could be deployed against you. Silence can't be twisted, can't be misquoted, can't be weaponized. It gives them nothing to work with. After that conversation, you either over-explained, hoping more words would clarify, or went silent from defeat. Neither was sovereign. One was verbose from fear. The other was mute from futility. Both were reactions. Both gave them power. Both left you exhausted. But there's a third way. Silence that comes from abundance, not scarcity. From having so much to say you can afford to be selective. From knowing your truth so deeply, you don't need to convince anyone of it. This silence doesn't react, it chooses. It looks at the invitation to engage and decides, consciously, sovereignly, whether engagement serves anything real. Most of the time, it doesn't. Your words have been protecting them from themselves. Your explanations have been cushioning their impact. Your defenses have been enabling their offenses. Every time you responded, you gave them something to react to instead of something to reckon with. When you provide the buffer, they never feel the sharp edge of their own behavior. They never have to sit in the silence after their words land. They never have to wonder if they went too far, because you're already there, filling the space with your response. But when you stop, they have to sit with themselves, hear their own echo, feel the weight of what they said without your response to deflect it, experience the full shape of their own behavior without your reaction to distract from it. Your silence becomes a mirror they didn't ask for. Their words just hanging in the air with nowhere to land. The thing they said, the cruel thing, the manipulative thing, the careless thing, sitting between you like an object on a table that both of you can see, but only one of you put there. Without your response, they can't make it about you anymore. It's just them and what they said, and most people can't sit with that for long. Some can't handle it. They leave, seeking someone else to provide the padding. Someone else who will explain and defend and engage. Someone who will let them avoid themselves a little longer. But others, the ones capable of growth, they stay. And in the space your silence creates, something real becomes possible. Something that could never happen while you were filling every gap with words. The text is still there, unsent. The world didn't end. They didn't die from not receiving your explanation. You didn't cease to exist because you didn't defend yourself. Something else happened instead. The charge dissipated. The urgency faded. The thing that felt so critical an hour ago now feels less so. And you're still here, still whole, still sovereign. You kept your power, quietly, completely. The pause before speaking, that's where sovereignty lives. The space between impulse and expression where choice becomes possible. Most words are habitual, automatic responses programmed by years of needing to be understood. You speak before thinking. Explain before deciding if explanation is needed. Defend before asking if defense is required. But in the pause, something else becomes available. The recognition that you have a choice. That not every invitation to speak needs to be accepted. That sometimes the most powerful response is none at all. The most powerful people in any room aren't the loudest. They're the ones who don't need to speak, who watch provocations dissolve into nothing, who let accusations hang in the air until they collapse under their own weight. They're ungovernable because you can't manipulate what won't engage. Not cold, not withdrawn, just complete, settled in themselves in a way that doesn't require announcement. Not everyone will understand your silence. Some will rage against it, fill it with their own stories, make it mean things it doesn't mean. Their reaction to your silence tells you everything you need to know about what they were getting from your words. The ones who rage were feeding on your engagement. The ones who punish it were dependent on your performance. The ones who fill it with assumptions are telling you exactly who they are. And the ones who can hold it, who give you space, who trust you even in the quiet. Those are the ones who see you, really see you. Not the version of you that explains and defends and justifies, but the one underneath. The one who doesn't need to perform to be loved. There will be words that want to be spoken. Let them come. The ones that arise from love, from truth, from genuine desire to connect. The ones that serve something real. The ones that build rather than defend. But the words that exist only to convince, defend, prove, justify. The ones that arise from fear of being misunderstood, fear of being wrong, fear of being abandoned. Let those die in your mouth. The text is still there. You can send it if you want. You can explain, defend, justify. That option is always available. No one is taking it from you. But so is this. Delete. Watch the words disappear. Feel the weight lift. Notice what it's like to not give yourself away. Notice the stillness that follows. Not empty, not defeated, but clean. The particular calm of a truth that doesn't need to be spoken to exist. This is what you've been protecting all along. Not your reputation, not your rightness, not your image. Your energy, your peace, your wholeness, and it was never available through more words, only through fewer. The silence you've been afraid of isn't empty. It's the fullest thing you have, the place where your knowing lives, the ground where your power grows. You don't have to fill it anymore. You can finally let it hold you. What words have you been giving away that your silence could hold instead? What would it feel like to let your quiet be enough?